telling me one man did this. The only thing you know is he's a beekeeper.
A beekeeper? Well, that's not good.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another Backlot Banter movie review. My name is Tucker Hazel. Today I am joined by my beloved co-host Tara Dykstra. Today we are here to talk about David Ayer's The Beekeeper, now in theaters, and we're going to give you our thoughts. But if you have seen David Ayer's films, if you've seen The Beekeeper, if you've seen Night Swim, if you've seen Mean Girls, these are pulling people out to the box office. You're going to want to talk to us about these movies in our Discord server, in our comment section, and subscribe and like the video and all of that.
The Beekeeper, Tucker.
Yes, it's finally time. We've been waiting for this moment, ladies and gentlemen.
$1 billion at the box office.
I can't believe it. Tanner,
Yeah.
this is a movie I have only been looking forward to insofar as I thought the poster was kind of cool. I liked kind of the black and yellow color palette.
Okay.
And the idea of Jason Statham playing a beekeeping character in an action movie.
Beekeeper assassin.
Was compelling enough to put my butt in the seat.
Sure.
Not many butts were in seats. Opening
Nope.
night, there were just us and one other man in the theater.
Yes.
But Tanner, what do you think about The Beekeeper?
Tucker, there were some early reactions to The
All right,
Beekeeper.
the hands are out. They're going down.
The claws are on the table, okay? There's some early reactions to The Beekeeper that were saying, like, oh, you know, it's a fun, bad action movie. It's the best a bad action movie can be. And there was subsequent backlash to that. It's like, hey, listen, just have fun with these kind of movies, you know? Just have an open mind. If you're saying that about an action movie, you're the wrong kind of person to be reviewing it. And Tucker, I don't want to be the wrong kind of person to be reviewing any kind of movie.
No.
So I tried to go into The Beekeeper with an open mind, with that being said.
Yeah.
And I was on board for a little bit.
Sure.
I'll say. But then the problems with this film just started to tear me down.
Yeah.
It's not that like, oh, it's a stupid action movie. Like, it is, and that's what I like about it.
Sure.
Okay, when it's being silly and stupid, and I feel like I say this for a lot of movies, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I was having a
absolutely.
good time.
Yeah.
But you can be that and still be a well-written, well-constructed film.
Sure.
And The Beekeeper, that is not.
No. Yeah, I'm the wrong person to review this movie because
Okay.
I just thought I thought it was stupid in moments, and I certainly agree with you. I was on board for the beginning, and I felt myself being chipped away at and worn down over the course of the movie.
Yeah.
Where I was thinking to myself about a third of the way through the movie, it's like, okay, this is probably the best movie I've seen from David Ayer.
Yeah.
Like I'll enjoy it. I'll be talking about this afterward and trying to push back against some of the criticisms. But as they kept coming, I was like, no, this is just bad dialogue, and these are just bad performances, and the writing and the pacing of it all, and the side characters. It's just, I honestly think there's no part of where this movie is really actually good, or even like a fun kind of good. I think there are ideas in there, but I think they're just buried under ridiculous, not corporate jargon, but like CIA spy jargon and half-hearted lore and a main character who's not very interesting and terrible dialogue and ham-fisted bee jokes, which I think are probably one of the only like fun dumb things this movie has going for it. But the action's not even that good. And Jason Statham's not even that good.
I want to talk about it. Okay, so let's start with Jason Statham in the action.
Yeah.
The crown prince of action film, as he kind of has become in the modern era. A man in his 40s, as this film says.
Yeah.
Which he is not.
No, he's not.
So, as, what's his name?
Adam Clay.
Adam Clay.
Yes.
The Beekeeper.
Yes.
He's like fine, like he's no better or worse than he is in, you know, whatever other movie, 2 of these that he's in a year or whatever.
Yes.
So, you know, that's stock standard. That's going to come with the territory.
Meg 2 and Expendables 4 last year.
Like he's stone faced. He's doing the accent. He's doing his quips, but he's delivering them sort of straight down the barrel.
Yeah.
No spin on them at all. Just giving you the lines. That's what Jason Statham does. And it's good. Like
he's fine.
Yeah, exactly. But the action in this is a rated R film.
Yeah,
I'm not wrong.
Don't feel that at all.
No, because I was watching and I was like, we are cutting people's
Let me
fingers
double check
off.
the R on that.
Okay, yeah, we are cutting people's fingers off. We are, you know, people are firing guns. The Beekeeper doesn't fire a whole lot of guns until he does.
No. It's R. Yeah.
So he's jamming things in people's faces and throats and slamming people through pane glass windows, and there's like no blood in this movie.
No.
I think you can count on one hand the number of like blood splatters.
Yes.
And so it feels weirdly sanitized.
Yes. It feels kind of weightless. I think that the action in this movie is no worse than other
Yeah.
average action movies.
I'd say it's like
but-
the choreography is pretty solid.
But the editing, and I think you're right, this like the sanitization, the lack of effects, and the lack of standout moments is really what
Yeah.
makes me say this is not a great action movie. It's not even a good action movie. The action sequences here are fine, but they're just stock standard. There's like maybe 2 moments where I thought, okay, that's a moment of choreography or of spectacle or of him setting up a trap that people go into that stands out from what the rest of this movie is. But as it stands, and I think this ties back into not Jason Statham's performance, but the character of the Beekeeper is just really uninteresting.
Yeah.
We learn nothing about this guy. Adam Clay's not even his real name as far as we know.
He's going by Adam Clay.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily need to like know about this guy's background. It's okay for him to be sort of a mysterious
sure.
action hero kind of guy. But Tucker, that should be supplemented by some interesting supporting cast members.
Well, and I don't even think just that, but I think
Yeah.
interesting personality
Sure,
or
yeah,
something to
I get
connect
that.
me to this guy in particular.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that he has this motivation and there is this greater lore about the Beekeepers.
Yeah.
He's very John Wick-esque in that
Yeah,
he's a
stoic,
he's a stone-faced, quiet, one-line guy
Mhm.
who has a reason to fight that is somewhat sympathetic.
Yeah,
For John
absolutely.
Wick, it's the fact that his wife and his dog were killed. In this, it's an older woman who's his friend that is killed, and that's the bit.
Yeah.
And so it's so obvious that David Ayer wants us to be his John Wick, where there's this greater lore about the history of these secret organizations. They're saying words back and forth. But the thing is that John Wick is a guy at the end of the day. He falls off a bridge. He gets
Keanu, it takes the lumps.
Yes,
as
absolutely.
an acting hero, and notoriously, Jason Statham and subsequently The Rock as well, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
As well.
By extension, I
Yes.
think The Rock. Because the famous story came out, I believe it was Furious 7 or maybe Fate of the Furious,
Yeah.
where they're like, I think it was Hobbs and Shaw especially, where they're like, no, neither of us can win a fight. We have to deal out equal punches, and like you can't have that kind of ego if you're trying to be an entertaining action star.
Yeah.
Like the best of the best. Jason Statham is that crown prince, like I said, but like he doesn't have any. Especially in the last like 15-20 years, what are his standout like crown jewels in that crown?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's very strange. I think that the fact that we don't know anything about this guy and also he's just perfect at what he does makes him an incredibly unrelatable and uninteresting character to me. If he walked in a room with 40 of the greatest trained guys that the U.S. government can hire and he just wipes
Rolls
them
through
out,
'em,
but with just going boop, 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 but like he punches someone, he knocks them over, and then they're just out. There's no sense of stakes when the Beekeeper is on screen, and so I'm just watching him tear through these guys. I'm like, I don't really care. And I think that again extends to what we were about to get into earlier, which is the supporting cast and the general conceit of this movie and the scenes that are going through and the other characters that are talking back and forth is just that I think is the worst part of the film. It is awful. The screenplay and the script of this movie are genuinely terrible.
So here's my main thing with it about the script. The first half especially is a lot of, so we sort of two parallel plot lines here. You have Adam Clay, the Beekeeper, going on his rampage, working his way up through the hive to slay the queen.
Yes, and they say this a lot of times.
Yeah. You also have the daughter of the sort of like ranch estate owner that Jason Statham was friends with.
Nice old lady who doesn't know how to work computers.
Yeah, who's an FBI agent, and she is sort of tracking down and following in the footsteps of the Beekeeper, but he's always one step ahead.
Yeah, and that character's name is Verona, but I don't think they almost ever say that.
And the issue therein with having those parallel plot lines running is that the Beekeeper will do something or discover something.
Yes.
And then about 5, maybe not even 10 minutes later, we will hear the FBI agents go, wait a second. This thing that the audience learned, what does that mean? And because the Beekeeper is always 1 or 2 steps ahead, the audience is always 1 or 2 steps ahead of the other plot line. And so it's so frustrating and redundant to see every plot point sort of painted over again.
Yeah, and I think there's an even extra element to this feeling like a redundant just slog through the story is there's a third plot line, which is we get to see the inner workings of the villain group, which is Jeremy Irons and Josh Hutcherson and Josh Hutcherson's mother, and they have this whole
crime syndicate.
Yeah, it's a cyber crime and scams, and that's a reasonably interesting thing that I haven't seen portrayed.
That's the hook of like the trailer, especially is like he's getting this. Yeah, everyone hates spam callers. He's getting those guys.
Yeah, and on that level, I think it's interesting to watch him go to call centers and beat up people that are just like kind of sitting there eating their Cheetos and like, oh shit. I like that, but because we spend a solid amount of time watching the villains talk about their plans and where they are, we know everything the other people that we're supposed to be following don't know. There's no mystery to this film.
Yes.
We know his goal, we know where he needs to go, and so we're just waiting for him to tear through people like it's nothing, blow up their building, go to the next one, learn one small detail, and then just move on to the next thing.
We are sometimes learning plot elements 3 times.
Yes.
In this film. And this film isn't overly long. No. It's an hour and 45 minutes. Yeah. But like, trim it down, guys. Absolutely. Come on. What else do we want to talk about? Oh, on that note, Verona?
Yes.
You said her name?
Verona.
My Fair Verona.
My Sharona.
My Sharona.
Emmy Raver Lampman.
She is given this persona of like this hard up, she's jaded, this FBI agent who's just seen it all, and she's ain't got time for this shit. But like, it's so transparent that that's the persona they're giving her, and she just can't pull it off. No. Especially when she's juxtaposed with someone who has that like hardened charisma, like Jason Statham inherently has. It just comes off across as phony so much.
Oh, absolutely.
That they're trying to make you be like, oh man, she's a badass. Oh, she's cool.
Yeah, because she has this flippant attitude, which really does not fit for an FBI character. She seems to be handling the trauma of losing her mother and the mystery of trying to figure out what's going on by being like, psh, yeah, I drink and I'm saying funny one-liners and I'm gonna break the rules and go ahead. Even when they told me not to go in that building, I'm gonna go in that building, and it makes her an annoying character as well. Yeah, I think she's also unfortunately saddled with the worst dialogue in this movie. Just one-liners that don't land, just conversations with characters that all the other characters around her are annoyed at her, and it makes me feel like we have no central protagonist of this film that I want to see do things.
That I
don't want to see her on screen because she's annoying, and I can already paint my mind what she's going to do.
They are always the last person to say whatever plot element has been revealed, so it's all the more redundant and annoying, and like, I fucking know. Yeah. I get it, David Ayer, or Kurt Wimmer, who I believe is the writer on this film.
Who has written a number of very bad action movies.
Including The Expendables 4, which we also gave a scathing review,
which is a much worse movie than this. Because the unfortunate part, and this is going to tie back to what I said at the beginning, where I was on board for this movie. Yeah. For the first, third to a half of it, is I think there is some reasonably quality stuff here. I think the production design is good. I think some of the color use is pretty good.
There's a lot of like dark, like there's like golden light sources and stuff like that that are coming through, especially when we're in his like his bee cave. I guess you could call it the barn that he lives in. I was like, okay, the lighting's kind of interesting, and a lot of these like call centers for whatever reason have like neon lights flashing everywhere. So like it's an interesting setting for these fight sequences that are a lot of times the neon fight sequences are going to be in like a nightclub or whatever, but this time they're in a scam call center.
Yeah, and we have people that can turn in good performances here. Jeremy Irons is doing the best with what he's given. He's not great, but he's doing the best with what he's given. Josh Hutcherson, I think, is actually very fun in this movie. I think maybe he's the performance that I felt like committed to the bit enough where I felt the sort of campy vision of this movie. Yeah. But I wanted those elements to really sing, but this movie gets itself lost in repeating itself over and over again and not clearly establishing what the real lore of this world is. Who knows about the beekeepers? Why was it set up? There are these ideas that are planted and consistently referenced of the fact that beekeepers can go outside the law and not even the president, not even the CIA know about it. But then how did they find out about it? Where did they get this information?
Everyone knows about it. Like even that second tier FBI guy knows about the beekeepers, but they don't
believe in them or something.
They operate on the thing about the beekeepers as an organization in this world is that they operate on their own rules. Their only prerogative is to make sure that what society runs smoothly.
The hive doesn't have bad stuff. Whatever. It doesn't matter. B puns.
Yes, incredibly vague in that regard. But so that's the sort of conceit, is that, and this is something that we only talked about, and I only learned sort of walking out of the theater and having our post-theater conversation. There is only one beekeeper at a time.
I believe so.
The titular beekeeper. The replacement of whom we see in this film, who's the minigun woman that you see in the trailer, is dispatched very quickly by Jason Statham,
and very annoying and ridiculous. And again, the idea of having a ridiculous flamboyant characters that serve this crazy role, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But those come in only small spurts throughout the film.
There's two.
Every other character is just an FBI guy or just an annoying cyber scam NFT guy. It's like all the characters end up feeling interchangeable and repetitive. And when there are flashes of these crazy ideas, like some good color usage, or my favorite moment of action, which is when he sets up this wire trap that when they go in the elevator, it falls down and drags him with it. Or the guy at the end that has this ridiculous outfit and crazy sideburns and this crazy action, and he has a metal leg. These ideas are only in very small elements of this film. And so it feels like the vision of this movie being something campier and more ridiculous only comes through occasionally, and I find that very disappointing because the rest of it just feels stock standard.
Yeah. Tucker, I want to talk spoilers here for
Sure.
a moment. So, spoiler warning for The Beekeeper. You have been warned. Now, this is the most interesting thing about The Beekeeper for me.
The political
So
allegory of it
there's
all.
these undertones of, so he starts out, he's tracking down these scam caller guys. And then it goes all the way to the top, of course. And there's a third act reveal that Josh Hutcherson's mom, his father was once the director of the CIA and now runs this vague, multinational company. And his mom is the president of the United States. And so...
No, that's not... Jeremy Irons is not his dad.
Oh, it's his, stepdad or whatever?
No, it's just some guy that his mom
really?
Knew. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought
they
it was his
slept
dad.
together a while ago.
Oh,
He's
sure.
like a family friend.
Okay. Anyway.
Family friend with benefits.
Yeah. So there is this undertone of it. When
No, you know it's not his dad because you remember when they're in the office and she said, "I wish your dad was here so I could kill him."
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. What was I going to say? So with the president reveal, you're like, oh, they're doing like a Hunter Biden thing because Josh Hutcherson is like he's addicted to drugs. Jeremy Irons has a note about how he has his history with sex workers. And he's dealing with, he's sort of in these shady business dealings. You're like, what's David Ayer getting at here? And the whole conceit of the movie is that like the scam calls and the upper level government people, it's all connected and they're all hiding things from you. And there's a secret society that keeps everything in order. I was like, David, we're like getting dangerously close. We're dipping our toes in like QAnon stuff here. So that's odd and
it is
crazy and funny also, kind of.
Yeah, but it also is not, this is not the kind of movie to explore that kind of stuff.
Of course
it's
not.
Just, and I mean that in a bad way. I don't think it's a bad idea to have the reveal that he's actually hunting down the president. I think that is solid, and the idea of that the person outside of these organizations can even go as far as to his jurisdiction applies to the president. He can get up to the top of this and infiltrate the Secret Service and then get to the president's party. Why is there a party?
I know there's a party.
And kill the president. But when you add this current political allegory of paralleling Hunter Biden and attaching it to crypto scams and then the government as well, but then there are things that undercut that with the fact that his mom didn't know that he was running these things.
Yeah, that's another weird. He's like, "Mom, I won the election for you," and she's like, "Well, I have to tell the truth."
But how? He says something
money.
He's like, "Oh, you were losing in like 15 key counties. How did you change that? What did you do?"
He's funneled money into the campaign. That's not ultimately important. What is?
I just found it annoying.
Yeah, what is ultimately important is the broad strokes of that, where you're like, what is David Ayer clearly had like an intentionally drew these parallels here, and what is he trying to say with that? I don't think he understands that. Frankly, he probably just thought like, whoa, I can do like Hunter Biden stuff. Isn't that funny? Anyway, Tucker, what out of 10 would you give The Beekeeper? What score? How many honeycombs out of 10?
I think The Beekeeper's a 2 out of 10 movie. I think this is repetitive. I think the main characters are uninteresting. I think the action choreography is not well executed. I think the themes are confused. I think the dialogue is terrible. The supporting cast is god awful. I think this movie has basically nothing going for it.
Sure.
Okay, some moments of interesting lighting or of solid production design, and Jason Statham is doing a Jason Statham thing, but worse than he usually does, because his character has no personality. He doesn't have anyone interesting to play off of, because he's always alone. It feels like we don't spend enough time with him or with the FBI characters.
Yeah.
I think this movie is a mess. I was trying so hard to get on board with it and have it be just a fun action movie, but I just think it's bad.
That's fair. Here's the thing. What else? I'll preface my score with this. I think, and I know that people can have fun with this one.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, with the level of craziness that it goes with the things that we were just discussing, I was having fun with it. But you cannot ignore the issues with it. It is possible to make a fun, stupid action movie that isn't this, poorly constructed in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go, I don't know, 3.8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just leave disappointed because I wanted a fun action movie.
Sure.
But it refused to let me have fun with it because it just kept repeating jargon at me.
Okay,
and
I gotcha.
Throwing annoying characters at me. It's just like, ugh, get out of the way. Let me see Jason Statham set up a fun trap, make a bee pun, and blow up some crypto guys. But the movie is really not. It's not only that. There's just a bunch of other stuff in there.
Yeah, there is. I don't know. Better luck next time, David.
We'll see.
You're going to get what you deserve. Bow down before the one you serve.
Beekeeper.
You're going to
Beekeeper.
You're going to get what you deserve, bees.
He doesn't actually kill anyone with bees.
He doesn't kill anyone with bees.
He doesn't.
Missed opportunity, David.
Incredibly missed opportunity.
No one gets stung by bees?
No.
Not one person gets stung by a bee in the Beekeeper.
Yeah, I thought there would be, because there's like a big cloud of bees that come out when they smash them, but they're fine.
I thought maybe it might do form a giant fist and punch the guy.
Oh.
That's
He's not bold enough.
That's happened in the Beekeeper too.
When he gets fucking Ant-Man powers.
Yes, exactly.